Hello, and welcome to Words You Need Advanced. Lesson 2. 50 words that you might not have in your active vocabulary even if you know English pretty well. Let's go. Number 51. Возможно, он был величайшим боксером всех времен. Возможно. Of course, you know the word possibly, but here's a more advanced word for you. He was arguably the greatest boxer of all time. Arguably, because you can argue that it's true. It's possible to make the argument. So he was arguably the greatest boxer of all time. Try to use that word sometimes. But arguably, instead of возможно, arguably, yes. Yes, arguably, it can be argued. 52. Этот соус божественен. Божественный соус. This sauce is divine. Nice word, divine. It's divine. Divine. Number 53. Baskski язык. Baskski язык is a language that they speak in part of Spain. I can't say it. Baskski язык развивался независимо. Baskski язык. Развивался. I'm sure you know the word developed, but in this case you can also use the word. The Basque language evolved independently. So you can use evolve to speak about a language. Languages evolve over time. They change from one thing into another thing. They evolve. You probably know the word evolution as well from biology. Darwin formulated the theory of evolution. Evolution, things that evolve, the way that things evolve. Actually, my course has evolved over the last 3 years. It's changed from one thing to something different, but in little steps. Evolved. And when you say evolved about pronunciation, try to use dark L, which is l. We pronounce it with the tip of our tongue behind our bottom teeth, and l. The back of our tongue is raised. Evolved. Evolved. Not evolved, but evolved. Evolved. I hope you can do it. Evolved. Okay, another one. 54. Будьте осторожны при смене полосы движения. Often people use the word lines. In this case, it's not a line. Полоса движения is take care when changing lanes. So, полоса движения is a lane. So, this road has 3 lanes in both directions. 3 полоса движения. Someone cut into my lane. That's врезался в мою полосу, в мою линию. Cut into my lane. It's really annoying when people do that, when they cut into your lane. Another meaning of lane is this one. Ферма находится в конце проселка. The farm is at the end of a lane. Often in cities which have Russian cities which have English and Russian street names, you can see переулок is translated lane. I'm not sure that lane is the best translation of переулок, because for me, A lane is something rural. Lanes are usually in rural areas. Of course, there are lanes in London, like Penny Lane, Brick Lane. But that's because London used to be a lot of villages, and then the city grew and grew and grew, and it absorbed the villages. But these lanes are very, very old, and once upon a time they were real rural lanes. But obviously the city grew, they were absorbed into the city. But for me, lane, it's still like a rural thing, and it seems weird to go to like Vasilyevsky Ostrov or something and see lane. It's like, no, you can't have a lane on Vasilyevsky Ostrov in St. Petersburg. It's weird, for me at least. So for me, a lane is a rural thing that you find in the countryside or in a village. And maybe a better word than lane for periulok is alley. He walked down the alley. So an alley, it's a very narrow street in a city or a town. Okay. Будьте реалистичны в отношении вероятности успеха. A word for вероятность. Be realistic about the likelihood of success. Be careful with your hood at the end. It's not hood, it's hood. Hood. It's the put sound. Like good. Likelihood. Likelihood. Be realistic about the likelihood of success. And there's another likelihood. In all likelihood, our attempts will be unsuccessful. По всей вероятности. Let's have a look at some words that are often used with likelihood. So we talk about the likelihood of success. The likelihood of war has increased. I want to reduce the likelihood of confusion. The likelihood of death is low. Fortunately. So, likelihood. Next. 56. Они живут в огромном доме. They live in a massive house. It's massive. What else can be massive? Let's have a quick look. I like this word. Massive. Try to make the m long. Massive. It's a short a with a long m. Massive. It's massive. Massive. Okay, we often use the phrase massive amounts. A massive amount of money was spent on the project. Money was wasted on a massive scale. Огромный масштаб. The company has a massive debt. Massive. Nice word. Okay, next one. 57. The lion. Лев – главный хищник. Как хищник будет? The lion is a top predator. Predator. Interestingly, what do predators do? Well, lions prey on zebra. Not that kind of prey. Lions prey on zebra. No, let's try something else. Tigers prey on deer. No. Prey on. Prey on. Like that. So predators have prey. The prey of a tiger is deer and other small animals that live in the Indian jungle. That's the lion's prey. And you can prey on something or somebody. Scammers prey on vulnerable old people sometimes. Prey on. Like that. Of course, yes, the pronunciation is the same as молиться, to pray, and to prey on. That's what predators do. Predators prey on other creatures, to prey on. Okay, next one. 58. Я думаю, что она что-то скрывает. Of course, everybody knows the word think. Not everybody uses this word. I reckon that she is hiding something. Как ты думаешь? I often ask this question. What do you reckon? It's a nice way to ask. Как ты думаешь? What do you reckon? What do you reckon? Do a nice long reckon. What do you reckon? I reckon it's a good idea. Yeah, I reckon it's a good idea. Yeah. What do you reckon? So try to use this word sometimes. Reckon. Reckon. What do you reckon? 59. Жильцы здания проголосовали за это предложение. Жильцы. What's жильцы? It's the residents of the building voted in favour of the proposal. Lots of connected speech here. Voted in favour of the proposal. Anyway, the word was supposed to be residents, but I got residents. Let's try again. The residents of the building. Nearly. This is difficult. The residents of the building. Nope. The residents of the building voted in favour of the proposal. Yes, got it. That was difficult. Because actually, of course, residents, the noun, and residents sound basically the same. Residents, residents. Yeah. So it makes sense that it was difficult for the computer to catch the difference. Anyway, residents, жильцы. It's not a difficult word. Я живу в жилом районе, or even I might say в спальном районе. I live in an ordinary language. I live in an ordinary residential area. So, спальный район, жилой район, a residential area. Жилкомплекс, you could say a residential complex, but people... A condominium. I think often жилкомплекс is more like a condominium, but this word is rarely used in England because we don't have a lot of жилкомплексы. So, residential area, residential building, residential complex. One more about residence while we're here. Вид на жительство is permanent residency. I'm waiting to get my residency permit. Many of you probably live in a foreign country, and so residency permits is something that you need. Okay, and number 60. Мы выбрали место проведения нашей свадьбы. Nice word for место проведения какого-то мероприятия, beginning with в. We have chosen a venue for our wedding. Let's see what else we have. Venue for the what? Let's see what we can get. A venue for the trial. That's probably about a court case, a trial in a court. Sud. A venue for the exhibition. Для выставки. A venue for the event. A venue for the launch of the project. So venue is место проведения мероприятия. And that's the first set of 10 words in today's lesson. So, if you want to practice these words so that you can really get them into your active vocabulary, head over to hopkinsenglish.com and practice, practice, practice. But now I'm going to move on to the next set of 10. Number 61. Мою подругу удочерили, когда ей было 5 лет. My friend was adopted when she was 5. Now, in English, we don't have different words for boys and girls. So, the boy was adopted. The girl was adopted. You don't need to use 2 words. She works for an adoption agency. That's an agency which deals with adoptions. So, adopted. Мои родители не одобряют мою работу. Одобряют. My parents don't... My parents don't approve of my job. When you say approve, try to get a good v. Try to make 2 sounds. Ew. Not just oo, but ew. They don't approve of my job. They don't approve of my job. They don't approve of it. What other things do people approve of or don't approve of? Approve of. Here I think we'll need to do collocates. Job, again. Marriage is here. They didn't approve of the marriage. They don't approve of my lifestyle. Voters don't approve of the president's handling of the situation. Approve of something. I don't approve of your behavior. I'm not impressed. And approve is also used like this. Мне нужно получить одобрение моего босса, моего шефа. I need to get my boss's approval. Now, of course, voice typing, the computer can't tell the difference between bosses, plural, and bosses, the possessive. So don't worry if you have the same problem. It's impossible. I need to get my boss's approval. Remember, connected speech, boss's approval. In approval, the stress is on the second syllable, so there's no reason not to use connected speech. You need to use it. Boss's approval. Boss's approval. I need to get my boss's approval. One other use of approval. My visa application was approved. It was approved. Also одобрили, I think, officially. It was approved. Okay, number 63. Толпа, масса людей зааплодировала, когда король появился на балконе. The crowd... The crowd cheered when the king appeared on the balcony. Everybody cheered, and you might know that when we want to celebrate somebody, we sometimes say 3 cheers for the birthday boy. That's right. 3 cheers for the birthday boy. Not chairs. Oh, try again. 3 cheers for the birthday boy. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Something like that. Cheers. Applaudissementi. We also say cheers when we clink glasses. Cheers. So it's the word we use for toasts. Cheers. Cheers. And cheers is also used to say thank you to somebody. Like if somebody holds the door open for you, you can say cheers. Cheers. And feel very confident, 2 syllables. Cheers. 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 Don't pronounce the R. Cheers. Next one. Крыша протекает. Oh no! It's always a disaster when this happens. The roof is leaking. It's leaking. Oh no! The roof's leaking. But fortunately, пришел сантехник и устранил течь. Протечка. A plumber came and fixed the leak. So the plumber fixed the leak. We also talk about leaks when we talk about official information or classified information, which is not supposed to leak. It's not supposed to get out of the government department, for example. But sometimes somebody leaks, somebody who works inside the organization, they leak this information to the public. Some people also say that COVID started in a lab and it leaked from the lab. I hope YouTube don't punish me for saying that in my video. But there's a lab leak theory about COVID. Right, that's 64. Leak. Повсюду был мусор. Of course, everybody knows the word rubbish, everybody knows the word trash, but this word begins with L. There was litter everywhere. Remember, long L, short I. Litter. Litter everywhere. There was litter everywhere. Litter. Now this reminds me of a sign I saw on an elektrichka when I lived in Leningradskaya Oblast, and I used the elektrichka, the commuter train, every day. There was a big sign, не ссорить. But the first word that came to my mind was don't argue, because of не ссорить. And I thought, why are they saying don't argue, don't quarrel on the train? It seemed strange to me. Then I learned that не ссорить, comes from, well, is the same root as мусор. Не ссорить, не ссорить, а ссорить. And in English, не ссорить is don't litter. So it's also a verb, and you can often see these signs in England. On an English train, it would be don't litter. In Russia, не ссорить. There you go. And ссорить, obviously, that's something else. Litter, okay. Это замечательное вино. Прямо замечательное. There are many words we could use, but in this case, we're using the word outstanding. This wine is outstanding. Very impressive. Outstanding. What other things are often outstanding? Outstanding. Oops, reset. Try again. Outstanding. It was an outstanding performance. Замечательное, выдающийся. This is an outstanding piece of work. She made an outstanding contribution to the project. Outstanding. Brilliant. But there is another meaning of outstanding. Here we can see outstanding debt, outstanding warrants, outstanding issues. And that doesn't mean замечательное. It means unresolved, still valid, still existing. So he has some outstanding debt. An outstanding debt is not замечательный долг, it's неплаченный долг. Or there is an outstanding warrant for his arrest. It means that the warrant for his arrest is still valid. So strange that outstanding has these two very different meanings. Okay. 67. Все участники получили по медали. Участники. What do участники do? They take part. And so they are. All the participants received a medal. Participants. All the participants who take part in the event. Easy word, I think, participants. Just remember, the stress is on the I, but it's not participants, participants, participants. I do quite a long pause. So I say participants, participants, participants. The it, because it comes between two unvoiced syllables, I don't give it a lot of voice. It's between these t's. Participants, 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 tis, tis, tis. Not a lot of vowel, more consonant, more aspiration to give the stress. Participants. Okay, number 68. Нанесите немного крема на пораженный, I don't know, участок и вотрите его. Вытирать. Вытреть? I don't know. Sorry. Anyway, this action. What is this action? It's to rub. Apply a little cream to the affected area and rub it in. Of course, it's not affected area, it's affected area, but the pronunciation's the same, so. Rub it in. That's the important thing, to rub. It's this action, to rub something. And another example of this action, она проснулась и протерла глаза. She woke up and rubbed her eyes. Rubbed. Try to get a b. Maybe you want to make it a p, because in Russian you say klup, for example, when it's b at the end, but we have a proper b. Rubbed. Try not to do оглушение in this case. Rubbed her eyes. She rubbed them. Also, this pencil has a rubber on the end. Now, I don't know whether this thing is called a rubber, because I used to think it was called a rubber, what we use when we write in pencil, and then we rub something out. I'm just going to check what the Russian word is for this. Do you call it резинка in Russian, the thing you use to rub out pencil? I thought it was called rubber because it was made of rubber. But maybe not. Maybe it's called rubber because we rub it on the page. I'm actually not sure if it's about rubber, the material, or rubber because we rub the action. I'm really not sure. Anyway, rubbed. Try to remember the word. It's a useful one. To rub something. To rub something in. Чтобы впитывалось. To rub. Another verb. Не соси сосульки. Don't suck on icicles. Don't suck. We also sometimes use this verb. Oh, the weather sucks at the moment. When something's really bad, we say it sucks. Oh, this place sucks. Like it's really rubbish. It sucks. That's slang really, but you might come across it. It's used quite a lot. It sucks. I don't like it. It's rubbish. If something sucks well, then we can use the noun. Этот пылесос обладает отличным всасыванием. This vacuum cleaner has excellent suction. Suction. And I want to say, just in case you feel a bit uncomfortable about this word, to suck, on the whole, it doesn't have the same connotations as maybe society has in Russian. So we use this word a lot, and it doesn't immediately like have the same connotations. So you can use it. It's okay. Even when a kid always tries to please the teacher, the other kids say, "Oh, he's a suck up." Suck up, like he sucks up to the teacher. Kids use this phrase all the time. It has nothing to do with society, I don't think. He sucks up to the teacher. And if someone's a loser, he's a loser, full stop. He's a sucker. That's also used. So you can find this verb in a lot of places. Right, number 70. Эта проблема слишком велика, чтобы решать ее в одиночку. Решать проблему. This problem is too big to tackle alone. So you can tackle a problem, or you can tackle a challenge. Like, we'll tackle the mountain tomorrow. Not will, we'll. We'll tackle the mountain tomorrow. Well, that will be our challenge. We also use tackle a lot in sport. So, the defender tackled the striker just before he took his shot. So the striker, нападающий, was about to take a shot, and the defender tackled him. To take the ball from him. So that is a tackle. And that is another set of 10 words. So practice them, try to get them into your active vocabulary, and then we'll tackle another set of 10. Okay, number 71. Этот чай очень горький. Горький. This tea is very bitter. It's bitter tea. And the noun, я заметил горечь в ее голосе. I noticed bitterness in her voice. Bitter, bitterness. Try when you say bitter as well. Don't make a big I. Bitter, bitter. We do this at the beginning. And that creates the stress. Bitter, bitter, bitterness. I hope you can do it. Not B, but bitter, bitter. So not a lot of voice for the vowel, more bitterness. I noticed bitterness in her voice. There's a good phrase. It was a bitter pill to swallow. Which is a phrase we use when somebody has to accept something that they really don't like. So what would be a bitter... His injury on the eve of the Olympic Games was a bitter pill to swallow. He had been training for 4 years for the Olympic Games. He was one of the favourites to win a medal and he got injured. It was a bitter pill to swallow. Okay, 72. Этому слову трудно дать определение. Дать определение. This word is difficult to define. Define. What other things do we define? Let's do noun were defined. See what we get. Not a lot. Terms were defined. Variables were defined. Contexts were defined. Not a lot, really. We'll let that one go. And we'll move on to the next one. Каково определение этого слова? Определение, I think you know. What is the definition of this word? Definition. You know that one. This is maybe the most interesting word here. Это окончательный отчет о том, что произошло. Окончательный отчет. This is the definitive account of what happened. It's the definitive account. Maybe I'll have more luck here with this phrase. Definitive. Let's see what we get. This is the definitive answer. We don't need to search anymore because it's the definitive one. Now we have definitive proof that she is innocent. We don't need to search because we have definitive proof. I think this is definitive evidence of her guilt. So here we have proof and evidence. Remember, definitive proof. Proof means the case is closed. Evidence, it just pushes us in one direction. Proof means that's it. We've crossed the line. You can't have proof on both sides, but you can have evidence on both sides. So, definitive. I mean, the word definitely, which I'm sure you know. We will definitely win the match. It's also the same root, I think. Number 73. Вы можете говорить с нами откровенно. You can speak frankly to us. You can speak frankly to us. Why is there a comma there? I don't know. Anyway, frankly, there is this phrase, frankly speaking, to be honest. We say to be honest a lot. We don't say frankly speaking very often. So if you have to choose, I mean, have a look at this. Look. To be honest, how many? 9,170. Frankly speaking, 85. So, frankly speaking got 85 hits, and to be honest got 9,170 hits. So, as you can see, to be honest is used a lot more often. But, frankly, it's another word which is worth knowing. Окей. У этого автомобиля 7 передач. 7 скорости. This car has 7 gears. Переключить, you can change gear. But gear has another meaning when we talk about equipment. У меня много альпинистского снаряжения. I have a lot of mountaineering gear. So gear, two meanings. One of them is in your car, and the other one is for equipment. And the first one, this one is countable, and this one is uncountable. And quite often we actually have pairs like that, where the uncountable word and the countable word have a slightly different meaning. So mountaineering gear, uncountable. Gears in my car, countable. Невежество не является оправданием для нарушения закона. Невежество is ignorance. Ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. It's not an excuse. Ignorance. And the adjective, of course, is she's ignorant. She doesn't know very much. You can actually use... Can it be used like неграмотно? Maybe you can. Ignorant. If somebody, lacks knowledge, they're ignorant. It has negative connotations, this word. If you say someone's ignorant, then, it's negative. Я почувствовал непреодолимое желание уснуть. Here we have, I felt an overwhelming desire to sleep. The desire was overwhelming. And this is a funny clip about this word that I want you to watch.
I know you can be overwhelmed and you can be underwhelmed, but can you ever just be whelmed? I think you can in Europe.
So, it's interesting how you can be overwhelmed and you can be underwhelmed. But can you just be whelmed? The girl's answer, maybe you can in Europe, is not exactly correct. But the word whelmed is an old English word that isn't really used anymore. For me, this word is associated with the sea. And when I imagine whelmed, I imagine a wave going over you. So if something is overwhelming, the wave goes over you. So this overwhelming desire is when the desire goes over you completely. It's overwhelming. Now, actually, in this case, over is like it exaggerates, it intensifies the effect. Because to whelm originally was this. And it was used for boats mostly. The boat was whelmed in the storm. Like the wave went right over the boat. Then we added overwhelmed. And this word underwhelmed, it means it really didn't have the effect it was supposed to have. The performance was underwhelming. I expected something amazing, and it was underwhelming. Maybe 10 years ago, I went to Mariinsky Theatre to watch an opera. But we were sitting very, very far from the stage, and to be honest, the experience was underwhelming because we were too far away. Maybe I needed binoculars, but I didn't have any. And yeah, it didn't have the effect I was expecting. So underwhelming is when something doesn't have the effect you're expecting. Overwhelming is when the effect is too much for you to cope with. So here, mnie переполняло счастье. Счастье overwhelmed me. I felt overwhelmed by happiness. It was overwhelming. And another one. The evidence of your guilt is overwhelming. There's so much evidence that it covers you completely. Overwhelming evidence. Here, доказательства вашей вины неопровержимы. There you go. So this word overwhelming, overwhelmed, there's no direct Russian translation. It's different in different contexts, but the idea is it covers something completely. Like a wave. Whoosh. All right, number 77. Мне нужен насос, чтобы надуть мою лодку. What's насос in English? I need a pump to inflate my boat. What do I like about this word? I like it that we have a p at the end, and the p makes the m shorter. So if the word ended m, like, I don't know, the word dumb, we have a long m after the dumb. But in pump, the unvoiced p clips the m. Pump. I need a pump. And pump can also be a verb. I need to pump up my tires. So that's my szyny. I need to pump them up. To pump up my tires. You don't pump up a balloon though. That sounds weird. You only pump up something quite big, like a boat. Pump up the boat. Number 78. Теперь она хочет отомстить. What's отомстить? Now she wants revenge. People say things like, I will get my revenge. He got his revenge. Отомстил. So, revenge. Try to have a nice long n in this word. Revenge. Revenge. We stay on the n. Revenge. Revenge. Like that. Revenge. Revenge. Number 79. Растяжка имеет много преимуществ для здоровья. So, растяжка. It's stretching. Stretching has many health benefits. Remember, when we have t-r, it's pronounced like a ch. So we get str, s-ch-r. Stretching, stretching, stretching has many health benefits. Stretching. And there is an adjective as well. Elastичный. This material is stretchy. It's stretchy material. Stretch. Sometimes we use stretch to talk about money as well, actually. Our budget won't stretch to that. Like, we can't stretch our finances to pay for this extra thing which is expensive. So stretch. And number 80, it's a noun. У нас в саду есть старый колодец. What's колодец? Strange, this. We have an old well in our garden. So the word well, I'm sure you know it from he speaks English well. I'm not well today. So, well, the adverb is хорошо. Well, the adjective is здоров. And well, the noun is колодец. The dog fell into the well. So this word well has a few different meanings. All right, that's another set of 10. So practice the words, get them into your active vocabulary, and then come back and do another set. Okay, number 81. Она получила награду за государственную службу. She won an award for public service. Награда, an award. Now, I think it's good to talk about awards and rewards. So what's the difference? An award is usually about status. So, for example, Employee of the Month is an award. So you get the status. Here, you are the Employee of the Month. This is your award. It might be a certificate. If you also get a bonus, премия, then that's your reward. And your hard work will be rewarded with a $500 bonus. So a reward is usually money. It's like a special treat. It's a thing. Whereas an award is often about status. It's a prize. So here we have она была удостоена первой премии. She was awarded first prize. And here the important thing, it's not the money, it's the status. You get the status of prize winner of the competition. Awarded. So awards is about status. 82. Это выгодная цена. This word, everyone needs to know this word. This is a word you should know. This is a bargain price. Be careful with pronunciation. It looks like bargain, but it's bargain. Why is A-I-N pronounced in? I don't know, but it is bargain. It's a bargain. It's a great price. It's a bargain. It's a bargain. Bargain. It's a good price. And there's also a verb. To bargain. And that's торговать. Я попытался поторговаться с продавцом. I tried to bargain with the seller. So you can bargain with somebody to try to get the price lower. Bargain with. To bargain with somebody. Okay. Another nice phrase. We went bargain hunting in the market. So bargain hunting. Hunting for bargains. For like really good, выгодные цены, выгодные покупки. We went bargain hunting. Я здесь по поручению своего работодателя. По поручению. I am here on behalf of my employer. So if I represent somebody, I am here on their behalf. And let's have a look at some other things which are commonly used with behalf of. Behalf of, and we should do it with collocates, I think. Let's have 3, 0, nouns, behalf of, in behalf of. I'm speaking on behalf of all women. I'm not sure how you can speak on behalf of all women, but some people try. I'm speaking on behalf of my client. That's what a lawyer does. He speaks, he acts on behalf of his client. I'm doing it on behalf of the children. So, behalf of. Try to pronounce it with connected speech as well. Behalf of. Right, 84. Мы сотрудничали над несколькими проектами. Сотрудничать. We collaborated on a few projects. So, to collaborate on a project. It was productive collaboration. Collaborate, collaboration. 85. Наши цели совпадают, но наши подходы различаются. Они различаются. Of course, you know the word different, but did you know that different is also a verb? Our goals are the same, but our approaches differ. It doesn't like the way I pronounce the word our. I usually pronounce it ah, like ah. It wants me to say, our goals are the same, but our approaches differ. There we go. They differ. Let's have a look. If I put in differ with another word. Oops. Not context, sorry. Differ from. We differ in many ways. Or our new house differs from our old one. Our new. Again, it doesn't like my our. Our new house differs from our old one. They're different. They differ. Useful word to know. Okay, 86. Он всегда преувеличивает. Right, in this case, with this word, voice typing is very useful for me because I always forget how to spell this word. How many G's and how many R's? So let's see. He always exaggerates. So there you go. It's 2 G's and 1 R. And I always write 1 G, 2 R's. I always get it wrong. For some reason, I can't get this word into my head. But voice typing saves the day. He always exaggerates. Don't exaggerate. It was an exaggeration. I was exaggerating. So you can exaggerate. Преувеличивать. 87. Рана зажила. Зажила? Don't know. Не так быстро, как я ожидал. The wound, rana, the wound, try to pronounce it correctly. Woo, 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 woo. Look at my lips. Wound, wound. The wound didn't heal as quickly as I expected. So, zажила, зажить is to heal. So it healed, it didn't heal. We usually use heal to talk about wounds, to talk about injuries. We don't use the word heal to talk about illnesses. So illnesses are cured. Wounds and injuries heal. So slightly different words. My swollen ankle healed quickly, for example, because it's an injury. 88. Документальный фильм отсылает к известному исследованию. Отсылает. The documentary refers to a famous study. We very often talk about references. So, to refer is to make a reference to something. To refer to make a reference to something. And you may know that when you apply for a job, you have to provide references. So when somebody writes, it's like рекомендательное письмо, I think, from a previous employer, where they write about you and they refer to your time in their company. I think that's why it's a reference, because they refer to your time in their company. Maybe they refer to some things that happened to say whether you are a good employee or not. So that's refer to something. And doctors also refer. Если врач направил меня к специалисту, the doctor referred me to a specialist. And this refer has a different noun. I got a referral to the cardiologist. So направление in this context is a referral. The doctor referred me, I got a referral. But in the text, they referred to this book. They made a reference to this book. So different nouns, same verb. English is strange. 89. Она оторвет мне голову, если узнает. Оторвет мне голову. She'll rip my head off if she finds out. So this word rip, there's another word to tear. They ripped up the cloth. They tore up the cloth. So to rip, comma, to tear. So to rip and to tear, it's the same really, but right. I think for me to rip, it's a bit more violent. It's a bit more aggressive if you rip something than if you tear something. But basically the idea is the same. And рваные джинсы we call... She often wears ripped jeans. It missed often. She often wears ripped jeans. So ripped. Try to do a long r and a very short I before the unvoiced p. Ripped. So it comes out like this. I, pause, put. Ripped. Ripped. Ripped jeans. Ripped. Ripped. Okay, number 90. Вода слишком мелкая для купания. Мелкая вода, it's... The water is too shallow for swimming. You can't swim here, it's too shallow. In the swimming pool, we usually talk about... You can't dive in the shallow end. You can only dive in the deep end. So there's the shallow end of the swimming pool and the deep end of the swimming pool. And I remember when I was a child, I was always afraid of the deep end with the deep water, but the shallow end was okay. The shallow end, the deep end. And shallow can also apply to a person. And that поверхностный человек, you can say, she is a very shallow person. Of course, in this case, she's a very superficial person. Also works. They're synonyms. She's shallow, she's superficial. I would say they are synonyms in this case. And that is another set of 10. So practice the words and then we'll do the last set. Last set, number 91. Не могли бы вы помочь мне собрать эту мебель? Собрать. Can you help me to assemble this furniture? Собрать is to assemble. There's another phrasal verb. Can you help me to put together this furniture? And we can also talk about people assembling. A crowd assembled outside the embassy. Собрались. And there's a noun, assembly. At school, we used to have assemblies every morning. And the assembly was when the whole school gathered together. So assemble is about собрание, собрать, assemble. Next word. The protesters, протестующие, носили огромные транспаранты. The protesters carried huge banners. So, transparent is a banner. Banners. Number 93. Я постараюсь быть кратким. Useful word this. Быть кратким. I'll try to be brief. And the adverb. Let me briefly explain what I mean. I'll be as brief as I can. So it's good to be brief. Let's see. A brief, let's see what we get. A brief something. A brief history, yes. This is a brief history of the 16th century. He gave a brief overview of the project so far. So, brief, it's a nice formal word for kratkie. Interestingly, he's lost his briefs. Briefs is another word for trusики. So, Maybe because they're short. I don't know. Like the little trusики, not the long ones. So briefs. I think because they're short. And the noun is brevity. I appreciate your brevity. So try to be brief. I appreciate your brevity. It's a useful word if you want to sound clever, sophisticated. Okay, 94. Мне любопытно узнать, что произошло. Любопытно. I am curious to know what happened. Curious. I'm curious. Любопытно. But interestingly, he's a curious person. It can mean he's interested in different things, but it can also mean he's a bit strange. He's curious. Like, it's a curious situation means it's a strange situation. So this word curious can be любопытно, but it can be kind of непонятный. It's curious. Strange. It might be a polite way of saying that someone's strange. If you want to say they're really любопытны, they're interested in things, she's an inquisitive person. She likes to look into things and find answers. So that's a good word to use if you want to say like любопытный человек, inquisitive. Curious has the different meanings. We also have a phrase, curiosity killed the cat. The cat was too curious. And we say it when somebody was nosy. So to be nosy, it's like the negative version of curious. When you always try to find out about things that are none of your business, that makes you nosy. So it's okay to be curious. It's bad to be nosy. But curiosity killed the cat, probably because the cat tried to climb somewhere that it really shouldn't have gone and it fell and it died. So don't let your curiosity get the better of you. Means don't let it get the better of you. Don't if something gets the better of you, like when you give in to temptation, then the thing gets the better of you. Don't let it happen. Right, 95. Она пожертвовала $1000. She donated $1,000. Donated. Just be careful with the pronunciation. Donate. We get a little pause before the unvoiced t. Donated. She donated $1,000. And the noun is donations. We rely on donations. Donations. Not do, but donations. Donations. It's not a difficult word, I don't think. Было бы неплохо иметь машину побольше, но это не обязательно. Не обязательно. Beginning with e. It would be nice to have a bigger car, but it's not essential. So, not essential. But some things are essential. Let's look at what things are often essential. So we often talk about essential part. This is an essential part of the engine. It's like крайняя необходимость. Without this part, the engine cannot run properly. It's essential. We could also use the word component here. This is an essential component in the device. The device can't function without it. It's essential. This is an essential element in our plan. So if something's essential, you can't remove it. If you remove something essential, then the thing won't work anymore. This is an essential ingredient in the dish. We need it. And our skin needs essential oils. That's why they're called essential. And it comes from the word essence. The essence of something. It's like sуть. So if it's essential, it's part of the essence. It's the thing that cannot be removed. Абсолютно не лишнее, короче. Essential is the opposite of лишнее, I guess. 97. Я унаследовал эту картину от своей тети. I inherited this painting from my aunt. Inherited. With a nice... Inherited. Remember to smile and open your mouth to get a good... I inherited this painting from my aunt. And if you look in the middle of this word, you'll see this H-E-R, which is very close to the word heir. He is his aunt's only heir. You see, voice typing doesn't work with this word. Let's try another phrase. She is the heir to his fortune. Still doesn't work. And that's because наследник, heir, and воздух, air, are pronounced in exactly the same way. Heir. And voice typing just doesn't always work. Anyway, наследство, the noun, он оставил значительное наследство своему племяннику. He left a significant inheritance to his nephew. So in this case, his nephew was the heir. 98. Под деревом был небольшой клочок тени. Just a little one. Begins with P. There was a small patch of shade under the tree. A patch. And pirates, they also wear eye patches. So if you wear something over one eye, we call that an eye patch. What else do we have patches of? Let's have a look. Patch of... So I chose patch of shade. A patch of land. Just a кусочек. A patch of sky. A patch of ice. There was a patch of ice on the pavement, on the sidewalk, trottoir. So she slipped on a patch of ice. You can have a patch of skin, a patch of light, different things. Just a little кусочек, a patch. Number 99, we're nearly at the end. Я решил пропустить лекцию. Прогуливать. I decided to skip the lecture. I wonder what other things people skipped, actually. That would be interesting to see. Skipped. What nouns do we often find after skipped? Skipped school, yeah, прогуливать. Skipped class. Skipped beat, because my heart skipped a beat. When something shocks you, we say my heart skipped a beat. I don't know how you skip town. I'm not sure what that phrase means. I skipped lunch today. Means I didn't have lunch. Or I skipped breakfast, obviously the same. She skipped a year. Means she, for example, was in 3rd grade and she went straight to 5th grade. So she skipped 4th grade. She didn't do it. And I think it's because to skip is to jump over something. So if you skip lunch, you jump over lunch. If your heart skipped a beat, it missed a beat. If I skip the lecture, it's like I jump over the lecture. I don't attend it. And that's why moja skakalka is... This is my skipping rope. Skipping, jumping. So it's skip, to skip something. The track keeps skipping. That's about music. If it keeps skipping, it keeps like jumping forwards. Skipping. And number 100, она давала очень прямые ответы. Useful word, quite a long word. She gave very straightforward answers. Because she's a very straightforward person. So, she's straightforward, прямой, no bends, nothing unexpected, nothing sneaky about her. Just a straightforward person who gives straightforward answers. Politicians never give straightforward answers. For example, they always try to avoid the question. I just want a straightforward answer. And I bet that if we look here for nouns with straightforward, we'll get answer at the top. Oops. Straightforward noun. Let's see. Straightforward manner. A straightforward approach. I asked a straightforward question. And I want a straightforward answer. It's a straightforward process. So when we talk about a process, it's probably this meaning. Like the exam. Экзамен был довольно простым. The exam was pretty straightforward. So it can just mean easy. It was straightforward. It's a straightforward task. It's an easy task. It's a straightforward process. It's an easy process. It's not complicated in any way. So straightforward, it's quite easy. And I hope that if you have tried my app, my website, you've noticed that it's quite straightforward to use. There's nothing very complicated about it. It's quite straightforward. I certainly hope so. And if anything is not straightforward, then please let me know. I'll try to help you. I'll try to sort it out. So we have done another 50 words. I really hope that you have enjoyed the video. Head over to hopkinsenglish.com and if you've bought the full version of the course, then you'll be able to practice the words. And I will see you again for the next lesson. Bye!